This is a demonstration of the ASCOT tools with the LSST PipeQA framework. The PipeQA framework is a framework for testing data that has gone through the data management pipelines and software. And the idea being that that problems with the data or the software should appear in the tests that are done. This is a typical view for a single visit in an example run. There's information on this page that gives you an idea of what the name of the particular visit was, what filter it was taken in, and then also a list of all of the tests that were run. Many of them are just comparisons of one type of magnitude to another, so PSF versus aperture, PSF versus reference, model versus the reference, things like that. There are also other ones, tests on the vignetting correction, as well as how well the 0 point is fit. I am going to choose an example here of the PSF and catalog, so reference magnitude comparison. This page loads sort of a summary plot of all of the points in the focal plane and where they reside in the PSF minus cat versus PSF magnitude space. It also lists all of the tests, and the ones that are in red are tests that fail. It also gives a little bit of a map over here so that you can actually look at the values in high level. So these are average values per chip, and then you can then select a chip to look at it in more detail. All of these plots are generated in a static fashion, partially because they need to be done in a very automated pipeline type way, but also so that some annotation can be done on them at generation time to give an idea to the user what kind of information is in these. So the red points, for example, are the ones used in the fit, the linear fit, and these bars give an idea as to what the standard deviation of the acceptable standard deviation of the fit should be. All right. So these static views are only so good. It is really nice to be able to actually interact with the data, and so this is where ASCOT comes in, and this is the ASCOT button. It actually does a query against the LSST databases on the back end and retrieves the data and the imagery so that you can see the two in context, both in parameter space and in image space. So this takes a couple of seconds just because the data needs to be put into the internal ASCOT data structures. But as you will see, as you've seen in other demonstrations with ASCOT, the same sorts of things are available in this dashboard. As a matter of fact, it's identical to any other dashboard that you might create, except that it's got the data preloaded. You'll also notice that the columns that were plotted in the previous page are already selected and plotted, but you do have access to all of the other magnitudes and all of the other data used in other tests as well. Like with other scatter plots in the ASCOT framework, you do have access to some summary information about each point just by mousing over. You can also get the full information available for each point by simply mousing over with the info checkbox clicked. Over here we have loaded the fits image for this particular chip and this particular visit. And you can pan around the image like so to take a look at just broad quality characteristics. More interestingly, you can overplot all the objects that are in this pane over the imagery to really get a sense of where the objects in this parameter space lie on this image. So to start exploring, we can select some points in the scatter plot and see where they reside in the imagery. This locus, this very tight locus here, is most likely stars that are very well represented by a PSF by flux measured under the PSF, and so have a very tight correlation with the magnitude that was input into the image simulator to actually simulate those. Down at this end, we have a cloud of outliers that I'd like to get a better handle on. So simply drag a box, and it highlights them, and then immediately highlights them over here in the imagery pane as well. And what at least the first look appears to be is that these are in fact saturated stars that have not had all their flux counted because of the fact that they saturate the CCD. There were a couple of examples. Yes, here we see another that is also saturated. There's also another cloud of outliers over in this region that maybe we can look at in blue. And these appear to be mostly relatively bright galaxies, which again is expected given the fact that we're looking at a PSF magnitude. It's which does not necessarily represent the light distribution of extended objects very well. We can also highlight on this side to find out where something in the imagery resides in the scatter plot. We can simply highlight this galaxy, for example, and we know already that it resides in this blue cloud of data points, but we don't know exactly where. And by highlighting, we can see, in fact, it does lie right sort of in the heart of this cloud of what I suspect are mostly galaxies. That is a demonstration of the integration of ASCOT with the LSST PipeQA framework. We are currently, this is a project under heavy development, and we are currently focusing a lot of effort on the interaction with the actual imagery, both improving the user interface and improving load times. And that's all. Thank you.